Hi, everybody. Welcome to another edition of Too Opinionated, where today I am joined for the second time by actress Stephanie Czajkowski. Welcome, Stephanie.
Woohoo! I always wait to see like just people to say my last name because there's so many contents. I'm like, well done. Go
Did I get
Michael!
it? Yeah, all right. See, because
Hey,
that's the first time I've done it. Because
Yeah,
when you came
you
on
nailed it.
the Doom Patrol panel, I made everybody introduce themselves.
Yeah, that's always a smart way to go, I think.
Yeah.
Sometimes.
Well, I tend to mess up a lot of names. So.
Yeah.
Well, I have a problem. Like I was a big reader when I was growing up,
Mhm.
so I would pronounce things the way that they made sense to me as I was reading them. And
Yeah.
then a lot of those books as I got older ended up becoming TV shows and movies and all this. And then you hear the pronunciation, you'll be like, that's not
You're
right.
like, that's not the character.
Yeah, that's not right at all.
Yeah.
And apparently that is just carried over into real life for me.
Yeah. Exactly.
Well, thank you so much. I've been looking forward to this.
Oh,
It's I had just a blast talking with you and your castmates from Doom Patrol, but it's difficult to share a Zoom cast or an interview with 6 other people, which I thought we did pretty good.
we did pretty good too. Like it is one of those things because you're just like, okay, I don't want it to. Yeah. But it flowed really well, and it was so nice too because the ladies I see, but like it was so nice to be with Tommy and Bill because I don't see them. In the last 2 seasons I haven't seen them on set, and it was just so nice, and I love their work so much. So it's
Right.
It's such a great opportunity for us to be able to be like, oh my. To fangirl over people who are in your own cast.
That's kind of cool, right?
It really is. It really is.
If I was an actor, that's how I would be. I'd probably be a terrible actor because I'd have trouble holding it in. I'd be on set and just causing a ruckus all the time.
Yeah, I get really like when I see like semi-famous, unless like I'm working with them or whatever. Like I get very like, yeah, cool, man. Like I want to overdo it. So like I've had people in like I teach fitness classes and stuff, and I'd have people in my fitness classes. I'm like, oh my god, that's so and so. Like, and I get that thing that you get when you're like, oh my god, that's them, but I don't want them to know that I know that they're there. Like, because I also feel like I want to respect they're here to work like in different places. I want to respect their privacy a little bit,
Right.
So when it's natural, like when I'm on set working with them, it's awesome. Also, I tend to feel like when I'm like, oh my god, I love you, and like want to take selfie, like I don't do that. I don't do that because I just feel like, oh yeah, that's right, they're my colleagues, even though they've had all this experience. And in certain, certain experiences, I've been like, I really enjoy your work and whatnot. But I don't want to set up I always don't want to set up a thing where they feel awkward around me. Like I feel like sometimes when you're like, oh my god, I love you, and they're like, and they're very gracious about it. Like I worked with Chrissy Metz on a film, and I had read her book, and I was like, because I was also supposed to be playing her best friend, and a couple of scenes, but sometimes you don't have enough time to build that. So it's funny because like, she had a lot of work and heavy lifting to do emotionally. And so I'm like all up in my, I'm best friends, like trying to create this relationship, but also not shred on the fact that she has to like really bring it home.
Right.
But it's a tenuous balancing act.
That was a very heavy movie. Very emotional. I got a lot of respect for that. I had to do some voice acting with Ed Asner, and obviously I'm not an actor, but I was just playing myself. It was a story that I had told a friend that's an actress, and she wrote it into this little thing she was doing, and then got Ed Asner to do it. So all I had to do was play myself. But there was a part I had to get emotional in, and that is not easy. I had the hardest time. And then once I finally got there, I couldn't get out of it. I was like sad the rest of the day.
Yeah. I think, I think we're, as a society, we're getting better at acknowledging like feelings, but there's it's a weird thing to be an actor because we're taught like, you just like, you know, there's that thing of like stiff upper lip, just suck it up. Like men in particular, like men get it a lot more than women do, obviously. Like they, you know, don't cry. But I'm like, but you have to honor where your feelings are. And so, you know, this idea that, you know, and it's, people don't want to go there. So as actors, you know, I forget sometimes that the work that we do is the reason we show humanity in that way, is because a lot of times a lot of people are living to try to not experience that, or living and don't know how to experience it. And just acknowledging that it's real, as opposed to like happy all the time. Like I think that's one thing that I feel COVID is teaching a lot of people, or not, in how you have to deal with it. A lot of times we spend our time doing things to avoid things. And when you're sitting somewhere, like when you can't go anywhere, you know, stuff that you haven't dealt with comes back. It's
That's right.
And sometimes it's good, and sometimes it's not so great.
Yeah, that's right. Sometimes it's not so good.
Living ain't easy. I'm just like, living ain't easy, man. It's not. It's, you know, living is hard. It's hard.
It's so hard. Yes. Well, so what got you into entertainment?
Reportedly, I have one of those stories that, you know, when I was 2 years old, my mother tells me, like, I was at my cousin's birthday party, and I got up in front of everyone and started singing.
All right.
I mean, I remember specifically going to my cousin's birthday when I was a little kid, when like VHS tapes, and it was Betamax. They had a tape of Grease, and I saw Olivia Newton-John, and I wanted to be Olivia Newton-John, like, and it kind of started there. And then I saw other movies, and I wanted to be, my mom took me to plays, and I wanted to be, a musical theater performer, which I was to a degree. I also realized, and so it all just kind of knew then there that that's what I wanted to do. And it just like, I was just like, how do I do that? And then like later I watched, when I was in kindergarten, they had, the Brady Bunch was like, had been over forever, but like at noontime, they would have these old, like, I lived in Wisconsin. So sometimes we were behind, and they'd have the Brady Bunch on in the afternoons. And I made my mom write a letter made my mother write a letter to Channel 12 to tell them I wanted to be on the Brady Bunch. And they're like, well, the Brady Bunch hasn't been on for a really long time, but they were very kind, and they wrote a letter back. But like, it's kind of, you know, it's been, I don't want to say since like utero, but like, it's kind of been that way. So it was just, you know, trying to figure out how to do it. But that's when it started.
There was, when cable first came around, dating myself, but all that really came with it was TBS in Chicago. And they showed all of those 60s sitcoms. So Brady Bunch was on all the time. Yeah, it's funny that you're a Brady Bunch fan. So later this evening, I'm interviewing the woman that played Jan Brady on the remake.
Oh, yeah.
The Jennifer Elise Cox. And I want to ask her, I'm like, you get tired of people asking you the Brady Bunch stuff?
She's like, yeah, but
I probably get tired of that. It is what it is. So I really want to ask her, to do the Marsha, but
Marsha. Yeah.
Hoping that one just happens and I don't have to bring it up. So what got you into fitness? Was that something you had always done along with acting, or did that, start acting and then we got into it?
I was my family has nothing to do with the arts. Like my mom was my mom was a homemaker. My dad was an electrical engineer. I come from a long line of, blue collar union, like sheet metal men and electricians. And so I didn't know how to break in. And in particular, my father, and I was instilled very much with you got to have not even a backup plan, but I had to know how I was going to pay for things.
Yeah.
And because I also didn't come from a trust fund. So when I got to college, I got into NYU, and I went to NYU. and which was its own adventure, just because it's not nearly as expensive as it is now, but it was really expensive, and I was, had part-time jobs doing very random things. But so part of that was early on in high school, they had opened up one of those like women's workout worlds, that was an all women's gym, like 2 blocks from my house. And they were hiring. Well, I was gonna join, but they were also hiring instructors. And I was like, I get paid to work out? That'd be amazing. And I applied and I did not get I applied, but you have to get certified. So I was going to have to go every day after school to, get my certification. And I got cast in the school play. So I was like, whatever, I want to do this. Right. And so in the back of my head, I was like, oh, that might be a good idea because it seems flexible and whatever. And in college for a minute, I was like, I'm going to try and, double major, but I couldn't figure it out. And literally right after I graduated, I ended up becoming I started working at a gym, and eventually it happened. Right. But it was kind of in the back of my brain, mostly I think because I always played sports as a kid, but I'm also a physically adept person. I like, and as I mentioned, I had mentioned to you earlier, I'm from the Midwest. I have 2 brothers. I'm the oldest of 2 brothers, but my father never gave me the benefit of being like, you're a girl. He's like, yeah, get that lawnmower. I love lawns. I'm very much a tomboy. So the exhaustion of physical activity and physical work, I really enjoy.
Yeah.
Because I got a lot of energy, and as my husband often says, I'm kind of like a dog. You kind of got to run me a little bit to have me calm down. So it actually helps. As I've gotten older, I realize that I'm it's also for my mental health and whatever. But I've always just I want to go to the gym. I don't want to pay for it. So if I work there, it's always been how do I put everything together in that way? So long ways around it.
What sports did you play in high school?
I actually stopped playing sports in high school, but throughout my youth, I played softball and basketball. So softball and basketball, and then once I got to, I lived in Wisconsin, and we moved to a suburb of Chicago. Yeah, and they had a drama club, and you could be in drama, but it was really hard because it was I had come from a small Catholic school where you could do everything because there weren't that many kids. You could do everything. And here, I graduated. My graduating class was I think a school of 2,400. So, but we had a pretty decent drama program where we'd have a fall play and a Christmas play. We had 4 plays a year, little ones, and so it was every day after school. So it kind of was I guess this is what I'm doing.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, now it makes sense. I mean, do you still do theater?
I've done a couple of plays in Los Angeles. I did a lot more when I was in New York. Sure. If a role, and luckily my agent has a lot of the theater and musical theater people. Yeah. So he always keeps an eye out for me. Mostly in the last couple of years, it's been mostly film and television. And that's just because that's where, what I found is I'm this 5'10" woman. And even in my early 20s, I'm this 5'10" woman who can sing, but also has a very low, deep voice. And and I can move, but I can't dance because I wasn't a dancer. I should have done that since I played softball. So it was kind of a case of being they're not that, especially in musical theater, it's changed so much with Glee and all these other things. Right. But there was an opportunity to be just a singer actor. And I basically was you know what? I'm going to put that down for now and focus in on where I can get in, and where I was more easily castable is, my entree has been before, bigger roles in Doom Patrol. My entree has been being a cop, being a firefighter, being I always joke that usually I'm carrying a weapon of some sort. Yeah. Or I'm wearing a uniform in someone's life because because of my stature,
Well, yeah. What was I've seen you. What was the show that you were throwing the axes on?
Bones.
Bones. Yeah.
I'm so proud of that. I'm so proud of that because they brought in an entire. It was a lumberjacking contest, And I had been in for the casting director a couple of times, and I remember him bringing me in, and he brought me straight to producers, which I was like, oh my God, because we had met enough. And you go through this thing where like first they, you know, they'll meet you and they'll read you to see how they like you, and maybe you're not right for something. And then something else will come up and they'll bring you back and you'll audition, and then maybe you'll get called back. And like I had done it, you know, I've been in for a couple times, and the last time I had gone in and they needed someone with big shoulders was like that was the thing. And this thing came up, and I remember just reading it and getting so excited because I was like, oh yeah, this is the one. This is the one. Secret lesbian lumberjack. That is me. But the day of the shoot, they brought in this whole lumberjack like show, and they set it up in California. And the day of that shot, that when I'm throwing the axe, they're like, "Do you know how to throw an axe?" I'm like, "No." And so we rehearsed it for a while, and thank God for my softball. Like I was like, I remember being a pitcher in softball, and I started doing it, and that throw is me. And I was so excited that I could do it because, you know, it was just, I never thought about throwing an axe before. And I remember, you know, David Boreanaz rolls up and they're like, and they're looking at me, and I think he or somebody, one of the producers or one of the assistant directors, like, wow, how long have you been doing that? And I'm like, 20 minutes. Like, it was such a cool thing. And one of the PAs took a video of it and did it in slow-mo on his phone and gave it to me. But the next day, so funny because the crew was like, nice throw, man. No, I got such props, not for the acting, but for being able to throw an axe.
Hey, it's not easy.
It's not. I mean, they have, now you can go now they have like axe throwing places around.
I've been to those. I did not do well.
Yeah, which is a little different, but yeah, it was, I was super proud. Like I was super proud of that because I was, you know, because the first AD is also like, thank God, because if they have to have your stunt double do it, like they have to show you doing it, and then they have to, you save them shots because they don't have to like insert and cut away, and what, you know, it's just me throwing the axe. So
it looked real.
It was real.
Yeah,
it was real. Yeah, me winning the chainsaw thing, not real. Lumberjack chainsaws, dude. Lumberjack chainsaws, they take the engines from like from motorcycles. They're like really? 70 pounds, and you're like, oh. I was just like, what? But yeah, they're super heavy. They're super heavy.
You got to fit that into CrossFit or something so you're ready.
I know. Just, well, you know, they have the hammers or whatever where you can, you know.
Yeah, that's right.
The maces where you can hit tires and stuff. So.
Can you do the clean and jerk? Where you kind of throw it up your shoulder and then straight above your head.
Yeah, but I don't know how heavy I can do it with. You know, I really don't know.
I can't get.
I know I can't do. You know, it's embarrassing because I know, and now I can even less do them. Is I can't do pull-ups. I mean, my surgery has made it harder, but like even before, I was just like, this is
pull-ups are really hard.
Yeah,
you know, I can't do it.
Pulling this way is hard, but I can pull this way and I can lift up. But
can you do chin-ups?
I can do like one or two maybe, like if I'm using my biceps. But
I can do chin-ups, but yeah,
and I can do them assisted with a band, but you know.
Did you have shoulder issues?
No, I had a double mastectomy, and so my chest is my chest muscles are and because I'd
be hard.
Yeah, well, I also for reconstruction, hey guys, I know you want to hear all about this. No, I'm eventually getting implants, but what they do is they stretch your chest muscle out. So because the chest is stretched, you'll never be as strong because in order for the fibers to be strong, they have to overlap. Oh, right. And sometimes they're too tight and too loose. And that's why you kind of want the fibers here. And when you're overstretched, you can't recruit the same amount of strength.
Yeah. Now I get that. I've got a plate in my left shoulder and I can't do a pull-up. I can do a chin-up.
Yeah.
Do a pull-up.
Is it just the way, because it's just the way the shoulder rotates?
Yeah, something with the way the shoulder moves. I just can't, I can get about halfway up and I just get stuck. Can't go very far. Well, so I know you've had some battles with cancer. How's your health now?
I am in full remission. Yay!
Hey, that's great.
Yeah, I mean, I still have, as mentioned, all of my cancer removal surgeries are done.
Awesome.
I'm on a little bit of medication for the next 5 years. And I have to get my implants placed because I was to do it last year and then I got on Doom Patrol. They called and like I was supposed to go in for the surgery and they're like, by the way, we're pinning you for these 2 episodes. And I was like, I was supposed to have surgery. I guess I won't now. So then I was going to do it in the spring, but COVID. So now I'm like, yeah. So now I'm, production isn't due to start and I'm still, waiting to hear if I'm going to, but I'm like, production doesn't start for the new season until January. So I'm kind of like, so I called my surgeon. I was like, by any chance, are you guys doing surgeries? Because it might be a good time to do it now.
That's right.
Just because we're trying to, because you're trying to gauge how production is just starting up. But if we have another spike, we don't know if it's going to go down. And so, I mean, most producers I know are being very conscientious, and I think it's a slow roll to find a groove. And then people, and because we didn't get to shoot for so long, a lot of everything shut down. There's theories flying around from the industry, from people in the industry, that as opposed to having that break that we usually have over the summer, it'll just go straight through. Not for Doom Patrol per se, but just like production in general. So for me, I'm just kind of like, well, if that's going to happen, it's better if it does happen, it's better to try and get it out of the way before.
Well, yeah, for sure. I saw Stranger Things just went back.
Yeah.
On season 4, so I guess it's starting to slowly.
Yeah, I think Stargirl went back as well. So
yeah, Stargirl, I'd heard that one.
Yeah.
Well, that's great news that you're doing better. I'm really I'm impressed that you were able to keep working, and you had some big roles while you were going through treatment. I mean, that's amazing.
I had the best acting year of my life when I found out. Like, part of me, like, there's that part of you that thinks, oh God, is it the cancer that's making me lucky? And like, come on, because I kind of feel like it's the big swing of things. Like, you've not only 1 but 3 cancers. But like the timing of everything was always just like, oh, you have to go in for this double mastectomy. Oh, by the way, you booked Call of the Wild. Like, it was all, it all happened kind of in alignment in that way that I was like, this makes no sense. And, I found out I was going in for a kidney biopsy and found out that I booked Doom Patrol. Like, I mean, like, you can't write it like that.
Even Steven.
You can't write it like that. But I think also part of that is, what in the midst of any, like, whether it's a health crisis or, I mean, again, COVID, like someone passes, like a baby is born, like the things that are very, very important in life.
Yeah.
Children, your family, kids being born, parents being sick, you being sick. Like, even when someone gets a cold and you're like, all you can focus on is, you can only be in the moment of where you are.
That's right.
Cancer is kind of like a bigger version of that. And you're just kind of like, I don't know what's going to happen. And so you just kind of have to take every day as it comes. And I think it just, there's a garbage truck behind me, sorry. I think for me, what it does is can I swear on this? I can't remember.
Yeah, you can swear.
You basically just give less fucks.
Yeah.
You just give less fucks, and especially, a lot of times I feel like acting wise, or anybody with their goals, a lot of us put so much pressure as an actor, we put so much pressure on ourselves to be right or perfect, or as opposed to just being, my refrain over and over often is, don't be right, just be real. So it can be messy or whatever, but there is a part of me that, was a straight A student and, wants to do it right. She wants to get right, and the thing about what we do is there isn't a right. They're just different variations on something to bring it to life. And, even when you're auditioning, it's just, because my husband's a screenwriter and a director. And I remember sitting in on his tapes for people who were auditioning for his movie.
Yeah.
And there were actors who were amazing. And it's that thing they tell you to do as an actor, but sometimes you say, like, there are wonderful actors, but you're like, nope, that's just, for me, I just don't see them as that person.
Right.
So it's just, it's don't make it right, make it real. And also sometimes the role that you want isn't the role that's yours will find you. Someone told me that once and I was like, yup. And I feel like Hammerhead in particular is just, especially in the time and place and the fact that my head was shaped, like I was bald, like all of that was just like, how much more perfect could this be?
I didn't want to say it on the panel, but I think they should spin off Hammerhead. She should get out of Jane's head off on her own.
Yeah. Well, as I say, I'm like, I always want to know what they're doing down there, or, I was talking to somebody and they're like, which role do you like the best? I'm like, honestly, Hammerhead, because I get to do all the things I get to do. I'm like, the only way it could be better, are you listening, Jeremy, is if like we had an underground musical version, like if we got to do like a mini musical.
Yeah.
For whatever reason. I'm like, everybody on the surface gets to sing. Why can't we?
Why can't you? I mean, that show's crazy enough. You could do it.
I know. I mean, I keep waiting and I'm very excited to see what they do, because, there is no limit to what can happen. Like, right. it's, you feel like, you have a donkey, doggy farts, and like, it's just, you can't, anything can happen. So, I mean, I think I mentioned on, last time we talked, I was just like, my dream is that, we somehow get brought to the surface and are interacting with everybody else.
Yeah, I'd love that. No, I know they came back and they said that season 3 was happening and would be back, but no word on any of the storylines yet.
No, we won't know. I mean, we don't. It depends. Like, you usually get the script. If you're speaking, you get the script. If you are not, you do not. Like, if you're just there in the, so I'm lucky because I'm usually dropping some bombs, so I usually get to read the script, which is always really exciting.
They probably don't let you keep the scripts, do they?
Yeah, no, and they're kind enough. Production was kind enough last year. Like, because I was in there for a couple episodes and then I was gone, and then they were kind enough. I was like, okay, what's like when Jane's in jail? I'm like, what just I'm so confused. I'm like, can I have the scripts from, just so I know, so I have a timeline to know what's been happening if I wasn't there doing it, It
I'm
also
in trouble with that. If I didn't know, I mean, because that show's so odd, you'd be like, what is happening?
Yeah. Well, and I love, and it's so nice. It's such a nice reading experience. I mean, when I remember getting, because I was in episode 1 and then episode 4, and episode 3 is when they, spoiler alert, they do the personalities do an intervention with Jane and the under, and I just audibly laugh like that. And that this season, I mean, there was such great stuff. It was that the Jesus fist fight was amazing.
Yeah, it was really well done.
I read that and I was like, oh my God, this is the funniest thing I've read in a really long time. So we won't know. I mean, Jeremy was interviewed somewhere saying that, the underground's still in strife. So I take that as a hope that, we'll see more of us. But
I think you will.
Yeah, I mean, I think you will. It's just to what end, because it always has to do, it has to do with what, Jane's going through. So it'll be interesting. I'm interested because of where we stopped season 2, because we didn't get to the season finale. I'm wondering if it will change the storyline that we knew of ending season 2 based on reaction from people and fans. Like, I wonder if that changes how we go into season 3. I don't know. I'm very excited to see.
I could see it. You know how comic book fans are. They're very vocal.
Yeah.
I could see it.
Especially since like the whole Miranda story, like, it's such an interesting storyline, and it's such an interesting, alter personality to have, or persona to have in the mix. And also I think it's really interesting to watch Jane in the underground with everybody, like interacting with everybody.
I do too. That's one of our me and the boys favorite things to watch on Doom Patrol. We love that. Of course, we've read all the comics based on, but they go off, loosely based on, I'll say.
Yeah. I feel like the first season was a little bit truer to the comics that I read, and then they're kind of developing them a little bit bigger. And I appreciate that because I feel also a little bit, because comic fan, but not like devout, like, the Doom Patrol, the first time I read it, like Phil, I'm like, Phil. But I also feel like, in season 2, it's a little more, I can't think of the word at the moment. People who are not necessarily into comic book lore, so like there's a little more entry point for them, because it is a little more linear. It's a little more in its storytelling. It's about a little bit more about specifically about humanity without quite as much of the craziness. Yeah. But at the same time, like, who cares, but
well, it does. It has just enough for the comic book people. But season 2, you could watch, or at least almost watch season 2 without seeing season 1, and you'd be okay.
Yeah.
You might miss some of it, but you could follow it enough to enjoy it, I think.
Yeah. But
so
it's just,
if I wanted to ask you this, I wanted to ask you this on the panel, and it got away from me. But so was that on Shameless? Was that actually you doing the push-ups?
It was.
That was an awesome scene.
Yeah, it was good. I remember Bill Macy being like, "Hi, but great." It was such a great. I happened to come in. I'm like, "Ha ha!" On the last day of shooting, it was the day they were wrapping this, because it's a season finale.
Yeah,
and it was the last day of shooting in California. It was Halloween, so it was like a half day. So it was like a really easy shoot day. Everyone is super nice, and then I got to go to the wrap lunch. There was like, I was awesome. Like, there's like sushi and gifts. I mean, I didn't get a gift, but wrap gifts. I was like, this is awesome.
Yeah, that's pretty cool.
There are different parts where I did so many push-ups. Oh my God, my arms hurt so much.
That's what I wanted to ask you. How many did you have to do?
And I remember Bill is being like, talking to Mark, the director, and being like, hey, if we're doing these shots, like, what can we fix? Like, not fake them, but put some of them on our knees, or like, he's like, because he's like, I don't know. He's like, are you okay to do them? And I was like, I'll do anything. I'll do whatever.
That's right.
I'm like, I'm going to do them. I would say, like, because we were doing them in like 20, I think we were doing them in like 20 whatever.
Increments, yeah.
Increments, like, at a time. I would say like 200 to 300, maybe. Like 250. I think I estimated around 250 probably.
Was Bill Macy able to keep up with that?
He was, but we also, he was, but he was also just like, hey, like, he was, because we did so many shots, I forgot, at the point, because I was just excited to be there, the fact that they were going to do, like, pull out and then start to pull in on the close-ups, where, once you got into certain shots with close-ups, we're like, can we, it was like, can we cheat on our knees? Like, I think the one from the side, we were able to cheat on our knees as opposed to doing full extension.
Yeah, that would help. But that's a lot of push-ups.
It was a lot of push-ups.
Were you sore?
Oh yeah. And I also remember, like, that particular role, the director of that episode, directed my husband's husband in a movie with Robin Williams called The Big White, and he directed the movie, and we had met before. And I remember they're like, truck driver, 40s, grizzled, whatever. And the only time I'd ever met him, I was all like dolled up. And I saw the breakdown, and I was like, we need to get me in on this. And he's like, I'm like, I believe you, me. I can grizzle up. I'm like, I've got a good Polish German face. That, like, if I want to, I can look very pretty, and that if not, I can be swinging whatever. But I just knew that you would do the push-ups. And I was like, here's the thing. They got to find somebody who can do these push-ups.
That's right.
Because you can't fake them. And I remember being in that audition room and just watching girls come out where I was like, ooh, she would be cast. That'd be good. She'd be a really good, because you kind of watch and you cast yourself. And someone came out and was like, they make you do the push-ups. And I'm like, oh yeah. And I was like, women are
that's right.
push-ups. Special skill.
That's right. You were ready. You've been training for that.
I know. I've been training my whole life.
I think the other one I really liked you on was that the episode of Grey's Anatomy where you were the firefighter. That was kind of fun too.
That is the only time I was also coming down with a cold. When you're coming down with a cold, don't take sinus medication, like the good stuff that gets you agitated when you're going to go on set. with pretty much a bunch of people that you're just like, oh my God, I love you. I have never been that nervous, and it was so weird. It all was fun. But I was just like, it's that thing of, I kept like, I was like I lost my lines, and I felt so terrible because I felt like I was letting them all down. And Debbie Allen's like,
tell it.
Debbie Allen was like, pull it together, girl, you're fine. And I'm like, I'm sorry. I'm sorry, Miss Allen.
I was gonna say, you don't want to get yelled at by Debbie.
No, she was. I just wanted her to do that fame thing. Right, here's you start paying and sweat. No, yeah.
Does anybody know fame anymore? Like my kids, they have no clue what that is.
Yeah, I don't know.
It was a big thing when I was growing up.
Yeah, and there was I don't know. I don't think so.
Yeah, I know.
Now
Yeah, I thought you were so good.
So you don't need fame or whatever.
Well, that's right. Yeah, Glee kind of took it over, I guess. But yeah, I really liked that, and that was Grey's Anatomy. Kind of it outlasted me. I watched. My wife and I watched. I don't know, the first 5 or 6 seasons, but it's been on now for like 20 years.
Yeah, I know. I think it's the 17th or 18th season. Like, it's really just.
Yeah, and then we caught episodes. Yeah. After that, but we didn't have we didn't follow the story like.
Did you leave? Did you exit when McDreamy died, or when McSteamy died?
Well, okay, that's good. So yeah, McDreamy was first, right?
No, McSteamy was first.
Then it was McSteamy. Yeah, it was McSteamy.
That was the big where they like basically killed off like 5 people.
Yeah. Although we came back, we watched all the big episodes, and then here and there we've caught episodes and stuff. But that's a commitment. That shows a commitment.
Yeah. No, I know.
Some people love it though. I mean, it's still, it's amazing. Yep. I think it's really neat when you have characters that come in fairly young, and they're probably popular in part because they're these young, pretty looking characters. But then 15, 20 years later, they're still on the show, and you've watched them mature, and it's just, I don't know. I think it's just a different dynamic. The show's kind of changed and grown, with the actors. And I think that's, of course, there's not very many of them left that were on there originally, but.
Right. There's some new ones, and they've done some, I've really enjoyed some of their storylines. And I think that's, for doing that episodes, like, because nowadays now people are doing like shorter seasons, like doing a 20 to 24 episode season.
Oh my gosh,
it's hard, man.
It's crazy. And honestly, I get it, especially with networks, because people are demanding to have stuff to watch. They don't want to watch reruns, but you honestly get better stories when they're shortened.
Shorter,
8 to 13 episode seasons, you normally get better stories because you don't have any of the filler episodes, which you always end up with when they're
the flashback, the every year the flashback episode where it's just like, we're gonna flashback some stuff. Yeah.
That's the everybody needs a break episode.
Exactly. And I don't blame them, because I don't know how, like, that's unless it is, that you have your overarching storyline of your characters. It's like a, case of the week. It's why I feel like Law and Order was kind of that nailed it so well. It being, and now you're Chicago Fire, like, which is different variations of it, but like Dick Wolf in the original Law and Order,
you got it.
That sucker, you kind of rip from the headlines. You don't spend a lot of time. You make it about the case, not necessarily about the people, but you fall in love with the people anyway. Yep. But it's about like their love lives and whatever, it's just, you get a little hint of their characters on the job, and then which is kind of, which is kind of nice.
It's probably the reason it's been on so long, those type of shows.
Yeah. Well, it's because you can jump in. Yeah. Because you can jump in at any time. It's not a serialized where you have to watch what happened before to know where you are. Like, it's not like Ozark, where like, if you don't, which I love, like stuff that you do with longer storylines, but you have to know you have to pay attention.
You got to pay attention. Like I got to get back into that one because I haven't seen the new season, the most recent. Yeah, I know. I keep hearing that, and I just haven't started watching it yet. I'm all about, so I'm watching this show called Raised by Wolves on HBO.
Oh yeah, I've heard of that.
Oh my god.
Yeah.
Ridley Scott. It's weird, but it's been really good. Are you watching anything new while you're waiting for all
we
this?
We watched Stargirl. I've been deep.
Stargirl was good.
Stargirl I really enjoyed it. I've been deep in documentaries. I've been watching The Vow.
Oh,
on HBO.
I'm so interested in that one because I read all that. It's got actors that I was, Smallville people. I watched the Battlestar Galactica, and you're just like, what is going on? We're only about halfway through. But yeah, wow.
And it's weird because it's weird because I'm like, ESP, like I'm like, I remember hearing about this. I remember knowing people because we are total marks for that actors to a degree, or positive thinking thing, the secret, the schemes, but like that kind of, because again, like we're our industry is not unlike other industries. It's not a linear step. It's not, I do this thing as a thing and then I get a promotion to a middle manager, and then it doesn't happen that way.
No.
It doesn't, there's nothing linear about it. Like sometimes there's little linear steps, like I get to say 2 lines on Criminal Minds. It means people now know that I will not totally bad, honestly. Like, and then people trust you more. They'll take a chance, but like, so you see that, but a lot of times it's but it's not the same as normal. Like if you're gonna get a job in like banking or whatever.
Yeah. No, you're right. That's a really good point. Yeah, that shows. So because I was watching it and I was like, I think this is about this crazy story I've been hearing about the last couple of years. And that's what it was.
And we watched Class Action Park last night, and I was like, oh my god.
Was that good?
It's well, I didn't. It was really good, and mostly because I was like, I miss water parks like that, and then like they dive into like just how we wanted a slide, so we got this guy to build it, and then I paid, and then I stood outside the flume and told any teenage kid in there I'd give them $100 if they went down it to see if it was safe, and I was like, oh.
Like, oh no.
It's kind of one of those things of if you've been on playgrounds, they started rebuilding playgrounds and making them so much safer than the playgrounds. And I lived in Wisconsin in Racine, which was a big industrial town, but wasn't one of those places that had enough money to do that whole remodel of playgrounds to make them safe, so you wouldn't break your skull open.
Right.
So for as long as I can remember, and we moved to the suburbs of Chicago, and they still had some left, and then they tore them down. We were so mad because you had these giant slides that if you fell off of, you kill yourself, but that was part of the fun of it.
Yeah, that was why it was fun. I know.
And
nobody worried about us when we were growing up.
Yeah. Well, I think they did. They're just, it's that thing of with such information going around.
That's right. That's right.
It's there. You can be afraid of a lot more stuff because you know about a lot more stuff.
Yeah.
When unless you're living in your little community or whatever, and a kid gets kidnapped, you just kind of let your kids roam, and then they come back.
That's right.
And you don't think about it.
Yeah.
And then
now you
with
can't
more
do
knowledge.
that. Yeah, there's too much. Now you can't do it. You can't let kids just run wild like they used to. Yeah. It used to be you get pushed out at daylight, you come back at lunch, maybe get a sandwich handed out the door to you, and then you come back at nighttime for dinner. And the rest of the time, now you might have other neighbors, parents kind of keeping an eye on you here and there, but you might go all day and not really have any contact with your parents. But
I just remember riding my bike, like we'd be riding our bikes, and I remember like we'd be like, we're gonna go to we're gonna ride our bikes to Keys Pharmacy because they sold candy, 10-cent candy, and instead we like went the back way and went down a major street to this place called Randall's Market because they had a spy hunter game that we like to play. And we were riding home, and the neighbor's mom caught us.
Oh no!
She pulled them over, and she was just like, and we were,
"Yep."
Oh no! But
hey, I remember getting spanked by a neighbor's parent, and then coming home, and they called my parents and getting again. Get doubled up.
When it's funny because my dad was like, as we got older, and then we moved to like I said, the suburbs of Chicago. My aforementioned father, who liked to have us do yard work, basically signed us all up for a paper route, Sunday paper route.
Oh, yeah.
So on
I've done
Sundays,
paper routes.
yeah, we would get up, and we had this station wagon. We managed to upgrade to a station wagon with the thing that went down in the back, so you could drive. My brother would be in the back.
That's what I drove.
Yeah, we delivered like 500 papers. I had a spotlight. I would read the things. My dad would drive. I would read, and then we'd get done, and we'd go to like the 7-Eleven and get a big gulp, and then we'd go pick up another set. Like we deliver all like five or 600 papers.
I love that. Yeah, I used to do that with my dad. Did you have to put the papers together? Like Sunday papers?
No, yeah, some papers you did. This was the Sunday ones you didn't. You could just roll up and they were all ready to go.
Oh, okay,
nice. You just had to get them, and but we learned in those early morning hours, my dad taught us how to drive the car. So it got to a point that later, like he was down at work and my mom was gone, and like it was me and my brother and I were the ones who taught ourselves how to drive stick, because my father had taught us how to drive, but he thought he was smart because he took the keys to the automatic to work with him. Yep. But we're like, so we rolled it out of the driveway and we're like, anyway.
Yeah, those are the good old days.
Tell anybody or ourselves, so that's good.
That's right. You get away with that back then. But I always look forward to like the diner breakfast or the big gulp from 7-Eleven. That was like a reward for doing the paper.
Getting up at like 3:00. I remember you're getting up at like 3:00 in the morning, and then you get home and you fall asleep and it's like 7, and then you wake up again at like noon if you have a nap. Yeah. I'm like, oh my God, this day is so long.
Yeah, I know. It's so weird. I did morning route for my dad. I was like that's when he would get a day off. I would run the morning route. Yeah. But I had an afternoon route after school, and I went out one afternoon, and 20 or 30 of my boxes, somebody had taken a baseball bat to. Oh. And, I had to put those up. I had to take them down, put them up. It was just a pain in the butt. So I was, oh my God, I was all torn up. And I went to school the next day, and a group of my friends came over, and they're like, "We had the best weekend. You're not going to guess what we did." And I was like, no. "Yeah, what'd you do?" They're like, "We played baseball with a bunch of newspaper boxes." And I was like,
Thanks, man. Thanks for that.
Yeah, thanks a lot. Hey, my wife said to tell you that she remembers seeing you on Jane the Virgin, and you were awesome.
Oh, thank you. Oh my God. It's such a weird story. Like I wasn't going to go in on that, or I did. That job has been a job that just keeps, I'm like, I don't even know what to say. Like that job is like this little tiny thing that it's not about I ended up in like 4 different episodes because it's they do this thing when they reuse your tape in a different episode. And because Jane the Virgin is a telenovela, they'll always be like, last week. So I ended up in like 3 or 4 episodes, and I kept getting paid, and I was like, this is amazing. I love this show. That was one of those things. Like my father had passed, my aforementioned father. My father had passed away earlier that year, and I had uncle passed. Like it was a weird year of like everybody dying. It was awful.
It's awful.
I thought it was gonna be the worst, and then cancer hit. So I don't know. Now it's all whatever. I know. But it was so funny that like it was funny to me that I had like all these people die, and then my manager calls. He's like, "So you're going in to be a delivery lady?" I'm like, oh, "Okay, whatever. I haven't been into this office before." Next thing I know, I'm like delivering a casket, and I'm like, "Oh, I was like, really, dude?"
Yeah.
I was like, "Casket delivery person." I'm like, "Awesome."
Oh, it's terrible.
It's just, I mean, it's so dark. I mean, it's
you almost have to laugh though.
You have to laugh. It was. Yeah, and it was funny because my grandmother was turning 90, and I was supposed to fly home, and of course, this shot, and it didn't, like I was supposed to be on a plane, and I had to move my plane because I had to move my plane to like a mid-flight because it was shooting my last day of shooting. And I mean, it wasn't that long, but I had to move my flight because I had to do it, but it was fine. I made it, and whatever. And there was tacos, and that casting crew is just, they were so lovely. They were just really nice people. That's the nicest thing. I mean, I think that's the nicest thing about, in addition to like, you love the work, but when you work with people, I think that's true of any job. When you work with good people and you enjoy them and they enjoy you, and it does, it really does.
Yeah, that's awesome. Yeah. Well, Stephanie, this has been, I knew it would be great. This has been awesome. It's been
it's been great talking to you, Michael. Thanks for having me. I really appreciate it.
Oh my gosh. Yeah, I've been looking forward to this. That's why I said I could have talked with you and your castmates for hours. And I was like, no.
Yeah.
Gotta keep it, gotta be professional. Gotta keep this somewhat, where people would.
Well, at least the recorded part, we can go on and on forever.
Oh, that's right. That's exactly right. I did see that, and I'll be honest, I don't remember you in it, but I love the show, and I watched every episode. But I love that Southland TV show.
Oh yeah.
With that, what part did you play in that?
I know it's shocking, I was an EMT. I know, shocking. And you see me briefly, like I'm rolling, and I roll up. It's I actually got to shoot with Regina King, but because it was a lot of handheld, you see my face for a minute, and then you bow down and you just see my jaw because I am much taller than Regina King. So it's some of the best chin acting you will see. It's some of the best.
Okay, that maybe. Yeah, I saw you were in it, and I was like, oh, I love that show because the cast on it was amazing.
But they were in same casting director as Shameless, actually.
Really?
Did, Southland. Yeah.
Did that help you get the Shameless job?
I don't know. I mean, I know that generally, if they've cast you before, your reps will be like, "Hey, you cast."
Yeah.
So remember her, and most like John Levy and other cast directors, they have a really good memory. Yeah. They have a really good memory for, even if you think that they don't remember you at all, and you'll be like, "Oh, hi," and they'll be like, "Blah blah blah, I met you here, and you did this," and you're like, "Oh God." Which is also why they're great at what they do, because they remember actors,
Yeah, so. That's pretty cool. Is there a genre that you haven't done that you would like to do?
I haven't done single cam. Yeah, no.
Single cam, yeah.
I'm trying to. I haven't done a musical yet. I'd like to do that.
That'd be good.
Yeah, I mean, there's a part of me that I would love to be in the. Someone asked me like, "What is your dream role?" And I'm like, I think years ago I was able to do motion capture for a Star Wars game. Knights of the Throne or something, and I didn't do the VO for it. I'd already done the VO, but they had just started doing the motion capture for the facial, and so like now I'm in Wikipedia, which is so exciting to me.
Yeah.
But I in addition to Olivia Newton-John, the toss between Olivia Newton-John and wanting to be Princess Leia. So I would love, the character I played on that was named Senya Tyrell, and I was just like, I would love if they made that live action to join, to have a part, to be in the Star Wars universe. I think would be really cool.
Oh, that'd be awesome. I think
I would.
When did that take place? What's it near? Is it around?
I'm not exactly sure.
Maybe you could.
Not exactly sure. I know. Yeah, I'm not exactly sure. I think it might be
maybe
before pre. It might be pre.
I have to look it up.
Yeah.
You'd fit on The Mandalorian. That's what we need to get you on.
Yeah, exactly. Right. I was like Gina Carano. Why can't I be your sister and we can fight? Yeah.
Well, yeah, she comes from she was a trooper, like a shock trooper. With that. I'm sure she's not the only female shock trooper. She has to have friends.
Yeah.
You could be the one she runs into that's still a shock trooper.
There we go.
But you guys used to be friends.
There we go.
She's on the opposite side. That'd be good. Yeah. I'd watch that.
Yeah. No, I know.
There you go.
Your lips to,
That's right. Somebody's going to pick that up. Huh?
Yeah.
You're welcome.
Yeah. Guys, come on. No.
Yeah, come on. I know it's been kind of crazy and slow this year, but anything upcoming that we can see you in?
I don't know if you'll be able to see me in it. I actually just did my first shoot. Like I did my first shoot a couple weeks ago,
Okay.
about 2 weeks ago. But it's a commercial. It's a commercial print ad, which coincidentally enough, I play a cancer patient. I know it's shocking, but I was like, there were so many. There were a number of roles. Like when I was bald at Doom Patrol, but I was also like on the commercial side. It was like real cancer survivor. Come on, and I was either too cancery or not cancery enough. And finally, I was like, yes. Because I came with the option of being like, hey, if you need to shave my head, it's not a big deal.
Not a big deal. You've been there.
But yeah, because I've already been there. I'm always like,
well, and you've got a nice looking head, like I I don't know about mine.
Your head's pretty good. It's not all knotty or anything. Yeah,
it's not real lumpy.
Yeah, I was pretty shocked, and I was also thankful. I was like, Mom and Dad, wherever you are, thank you for the head. Thank you for the head. But so that's
I was gonna say on I don't know if you watch it, but they're making the Star Treks they've got Discovery that came out, and it takes place 10 years before the original series.
Mm-hmm.
So it's got Captain Pike and that crew before Kirk.
Right.
But in the original series, they had the woman, the bald woman, and she came from a race of people that were bald. So I'm thinking 10 years before, they haven't put that race in there yet. There you go.
I know. There's still time. Well, I also got these ears that are kind of like, this would be hard to make these, like, ears,
totally
but they got a little healthy. Like, they could be a Vulcan in a heartbeat.
You could be a Vulcan. See, there we go. We've already set your new. We already
set the tone. We set the tone.
2021. I got you booked.
Yeah. So you'll be able to see, like, on the internet. I can't say who it's for or whatever. It'll be out, but I don't know. It'll be widespread. Yeah. So, but I'll be posting it on my social media, I'm sure.
Oh yeah. Well, yeah. So give us that too. Give us where people can find you.
Oh, I definitely. Yeah. But yeah, like it was interesting, like, because it's, part of the reason there's been that delay in coming back to production is figuring out the COVID protocols and what you do. And this set was we got a COVID test before, and we went on, and everybody was wearing a mask, and they take your temperature, and if anything, thing that I've learned, I told all my friends, I'm like, here's what I've learned. Usually when you're on set, you're like, I eat like crap, because you end up at the craft services table just grazing and shoving M&Ms and Skittles into your mouth. The thing about now is you have to, at least in this, I think it's going to be the same, is nothing is like in a big jar, like everything is prepackaged or whatever. But at this particular set, it was like a snack bar. So you couldn't touch everything. You would ask for it. So it was like, which was great.
Yeah.
But also, if usually you're like you're just, you have to go up and ask, like, can I have 7? It feels weird. It feels weird to be like, I'd like some Skittles and some M&Ms. And so, I don't do that.
Yeah. You can't just, secretly gorge without somebody else knowing.
Well, and I also feel like a little bit, because a lot of times lunch is, it's usually buffet. It's like a buffet line.
Yeah.
And now they're doing it. They have to do it individually. So you have to do individual orders of stuff, which is kind of a pain in the butt because of I think a lot of productions are trying to do recyclable paper and stuff in boxes rather than as they've always been trying to do. But I also have a feeling that we're going to have a lot less food waste, simply because you don't have big trays of food that suddenly, that people don't eat, like, because you have to, because it's not buffet. It's all, you're getting your plate and you're getting more or less or whatever.
Yeah.
So I don't know.
It's interesting. I think that's fascinating that some of this stuff has probably changed for good, I would assume. I don't know that we'll ever go back to some of the ways. Well, Stephanie, so if our listeners or viewers want to find out more about you or what you're working on, where can they go to find you?
The best place, I'm on Twitter, but I don't use it, so I'm more of an Instagram girl. So I'm on IG at Ski, SKIAYS, and also, if you can spell my entire name, I actually just have a website that's stephanieczajkowski.com. that has like all my latest and greatest things. So
the great thing about that though is if you get the CZ, it pops right up.
Yeah, they're like, haha.
Pops right up.
See, they said I should get. Someone once was like, maybe you should change your name. I'm like, meh, no.
Nah, make them work for it.
Exactly.
It makes you unique. I mean, because there's no other Stephanies out there, you know.
Yeah.
I mean,
well, not in the acting world, thank God. You know,
no,
I didn't have to fight.
Right.
I didn't have to fight to keep that last name.
No, yeah, that's right. Yeah. You're not a a number 6 or something like that on IMDb. Exactly.
I don't know if it makes it easier or not, but there was a point where I was just like, I like who I am. I don't know what I'd name myself. I guess I'm keeping this.
I always thought that was weird. I think I'd have a hard time. I'd forget what I changed my name to.
Yeah.
I think I'd have trouble.
I mean, I think you have to start out really just like, this is my, this is my professional name.
My identity. Yeah. Or either way, either you're keeping your name or you can't change. A lot of people do though. You see, like on their pages, it'll say as whatever their name was. And then from a certain point, it's a different name. So I don't know.
Yeah. I mean, I mean, for certain people, I understand. Yeah. And it, like some of my friends who are, for a while back, some of my friends who are multi-ethnic would have like let's say their mom is Spanish, their dad is super white blue blood American in their last name. They would change their last names to reflect ethnicity for some people. But
I guess it just depends on how you want to portray yourself. I don't know. I find
exactly. Yeah.
Well, Stephanie, we got to do this again. We got to have a round 3.
All right. I'm here for it. I am super here for it. Have a great day.
Yeah, this has been wonderful. It's so nice to talk to you again. I stay safe and hopefully we get out soon.
I know. We will. One mask at a time.
That's right. One mask at a time. Bye, Stephanie.
Okay, bye.
So that was Stephanie Czajkowski. Awesome. She was terrific. And that's second time she's been on the show. And I'm just a huge fan. I think she's so talented and she's got such a great story of perseverance. And I just just a positive attitude. I have the best time talking to her. And, she's, a lot of good stories. And I think she's just starting to scratch the surface with her career. I think something big's coming. I have no doubt. So we'll see her in a lot of things moving forward, and hopefully we'll see more of her in the Doom Patrol coming up real soon. So had a real good time with that one. Hope everybody enjoyed it. Please check us out on our website, meistercon.com. You can find us on Facebook under MeisterCon. We do have a Patreon page if you would care to donate. If you want to help us out with the podcast. We're in the process of building our new studio. We've purchased it. Now we have to design it, put the furniture in it and make it usable. We appreciate any help that you would want to give. You can find us at patreon.com/MeisterCon. This has been a blast. Appreciate everybody's time and the fact that you choose us to listen or to watch. Thank you very much. And we'll see you next time. Bye, everybody.